Hey gang, Ronin here. Welcome on back to the Retrocade. It is Saturday. That means it's time for another Sports Saturday, where we go back in time to revisit classic sports games from the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th generation. And if you've been enjoying the content on the channel so far, best way you can show it, as always, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new, ring the bell to be notified of the latest content. Remember, we also have Sports Saturday, or rather, we have Suckerpunch Sunday coming up tomorrow, where we will play a fighting or fighting platform-based game from the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th generation, as well as our ongoing playthrough, of the original Metal Gear from 1987. Now, when I say the original Metal Gear, I mean Hideo Kojima's original Metal Gear that came out on the MSX Asian Pacific console, rather than the Nintendo Entertainment System version that Konami released in the United States in 1988. The only way you could ever play the original Kojima version of Metal Gear is on the special subsistence edition of Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater for the PS2. So we've been going through that. We are now, I believe, 4 or 5 episodes in, and that will be picking up again on Monday. Follow us on Twitter at @RetroCade. Help us hit our goal of 100 subscribers as soon as we can. That way we can unlock YouTube's customization algorithm and make this channel even bigger and better. And if there's a game you would like to see us feature from the Nintendo Entertainment System, the Super Nintendo, the Sega Master System, Sega Genesis, or Mega Drive, SNK, Neo-Geo, Nintendo 64, PlayStation 1, or PlayStation 2, leave it in the comments below or drop me a tweet, and it can be any game you want. Now, for this Sports Saturday, I figured that because the Monaco Grand Prix is happening in the world of Formula 1 tomorrow, and it is among the most prestigious races in all of motorsport, we would take a crack at it through one of the most well-known and well-liked versions of a Formula 1 game that was ever created. That was Psygnosis's Formula 1 97 or Formula 1 Championship Edition that was released here in the United States for the PS1. And what we're going to do is we will set it up to race in Monte Carlo. And I am going to choose... Whoops, I want to take... Where is it? I want my McLaren, and I'm going to race with Mika Hakkinen, who is a 2-time Formula 1 World Champion and was one of the best overall drivers from the late 90s. Now what we're going to do is we're going to make this a medium race, so it should be about 10-11 laps. We're going to race on Rookie, which is level 3. It's kind of mid-tier. Then you have Professional and Expert, which is ridiculous. We'll have the practice sessions. We'll keep damage off because otherwise this game is going to go a lot shorter. But we're going to put failures on in the event that there's an issue. We're going to have tire wear on. We're not going to worry about fuel because in modern Formula 1 cars, they fill the tanks up so you never have to get a fuel stop. Not going to worry about tear-offs, and we're not going to worry about flags. The reason why we're not going to worry about flags in this game is because the nature of the game mechanics is such that if you get within sneezing distance of another car, you will get a black and white flag, and if you get multiple black and white flags, you inevitably get a black flag, which means you are disqualified, and nobody wants to see a race like that. So, if you are not familiar with the world of Formula 1 at all, allow me to kind of enlighten you a little bit. It's been around for a very long time, since the post-World War II era, but the Monaco Grand Prix is one of the most prestigious races in the world because it's one of the oldest. They've been racing in the Principality, and if you don't know anything about Monaco, it's a country, or it's a very, very small city-state on the south coast of France, right up against the Mediterranean Sea and right next to the Italian border, that's existed in one way or another since 1297. So it's been around for more than 700 years. As a country, it was constitutionalized just before the outbreak of World War I in 1911. But it is ruled by a monarch. I believe, if I remember right, it's currently Prince Albert is the monarch. There was a legendary movie actress, Grace Kelly, who became Princess Grace of Monaco. Sadly, before she passed away, if I remember right, in the 60s. But the thing about Monaco and Monte Carlo is it's a tiny, tiny little region. I mean, the area itself is maybe 4 or 5 miles in size. The only principality, or the only city-state that is smaller is the Vatican in Italy. But because of where it's located and all the glitz and glamour that is associated with Monaco, I think it's 30% of the people who live in the Principality are millionaires. It's got oodles of money, it's got oodles of history, and it's got tons and tons and tons of glamour. And the Monaco Grand Prix has been around since 1929, and it is mainly run on the same track, which is public roads in the middle of the city of Monte Carlo, which makes it a very big challenge for Formula One drivers in cars that have a ridiculous amount of horsepower, but also are so big that as the cars have gotten bigger, the track has stayed the same size. But if you ask anybody in motor racing if there's a single race that they would like to win outside of the United States, next to Le Mans, which is the 24-hour race that also happens in France every year, I'm willing to suspect the majority of them will say they would want to win the Monaco Grand Prix. Now, Monaco is one of just, like right now in this season, it's one of 23 different races that make up the Formula One calendar. And it's not like you win anything special by winning the Monaco Grand Prix, it's just another Grand Prix, but you are known as somebody who has won in Monaco. And some of the biggest names in the sport of Formula One won here not just once, they won multiple times. The most well-known was the Brazilian legend Ayrton Senna, who won this race 6 times. From 1984, unfortunately, to his unfortunate passing at Imola in 1994. But Senna, even now, 27 years after he died, is considered by many to be the greatest racing driver of all time.
I don't think he's going to better his time. He's behind at split 2.
But one of the other reasons why drivers love this track is because you've got to be on it from top to bottom. You cover so many different areas of the city.
A bit of a knock there, I think, Martin.
And the lanes are so narrow. Like you're coming around here through Rascasse and you've got to thread the needle. And you're doing it at 100, 110, 120 miles an hour. And you've got to slow up here coming to Sandoval to head up the hill towards the casino. And then you got this kind of sweeping left-hander that you've got to let off the gas, but you've got to maintain enough traction. Now you come back down the hill and you've got 2 hairpins. This one's a little bit wider. Ooh, I do not need a screen lag there. Thank you very much. As we come around Lowe's hairpin. And then we down into Portier and into the tunnel going under the hotel. Now, the other thing about this race is the risk of danger as we hit the Nouveau chicane, because you're going right along the harbor now. So if without the barriers here on the left, if you went wide, you end up in the Mediterranean Sea, as I clipped the Onco barrier right there, which was not helpful. Oh, we clipped it again, but we're hitting about 117 on our lap. We'll do one more. And then once you get to the actual race, the thing about racing in Monaco is because the cars are so wide. Ooh, I didn't slow down enough. As I was saying, the cars are so wide that trying to pass is a nightmare. You've got to be surgical and you've got to be daring. So we had 44.8 through here. But
The team will be watching this lap
back in the
closely.
PlayStation 1 era, when we were looking for racing games, before you had stuff like Gran Turismo and Forza for the Xbox, you had games like this where it was all down to the mechanics, and obviously the graphics haven't aged well.
Martin, that looked as if he just rubbed the wall there.
You're right there,
Like
Murray.
Formula 1 tires aren't nearly that small. They look almost like go-kart tires. But the mechanics in this game are pretty solid, and I will concede that playing on modern games like Formula 1 2020 and Gran Turismo Sport is really my racing game of choice nowadays. I have been using an actual steering wheel. I have a Logitech G29 that I use for my PS4.
He's already behind at
And
the
I'm
first
so used to
stint.
driving with that now that going back and playing on a controller is weird. It's very counterintuitive. I'd very much want to be able to have my steering wheel and my pedals so I can have a lot more feel going through these corners. But on a PS1, that really was not an option. That didn't become a big thing until the PS2 came along.
Behind at split 2.
My other inspiration for wanting to play this game was because another YouTube channel that I'm subscribed to called The Race, not the most original I know, but they're one of the better auto racing channels you can find on YouTube. Let's see if we got a better time there. Oh yeah, that was great. That was a half second faster. So we'll end it here. But anyway, The Race did their listings of the best and worst Formula 1 games of all time. And next to F1 2020... F1 97, or the Championship Edition, like it was released in the U.S., was their second choice. So, and I had played the original F1 from Psygnosis. Yep, I want to end this being the qualifying session. Now we'll figure out where we are on the grid. But what I like about this game as opposed to F1 95 from Psygnosis is that the mechanics are a little bit better, the controls are a little bit more responsive, and the tracks look a little bit better by PS1 standards. Granted, if you play this game, if you play F1 2020 right now, you're looking at a much, much different version of Monaco. The detail is so well done that this is like Sanskrit compared to, you know, looking at stuff in online. But the general premise is still there. You've got to know when to brake. You've got to know how to control the car. You can't just go flat out through everything. Otherwise, you're going to hit every wall, and you're not going to do very well. And especially when you're qualifying, you have 12 laps to qualify on. And while you're trying to set your best time, everybody else who's in the race, and there are 20 other drivers, or 19 other drivers, I should say, out there along with you, they're all trying to set their best time. So there's a lot of back and forth, and you have to be strategic about what it is you are doing. As I inadvertently hit the check the rearview mirror button by hitting down. And this isn't a hard game to control. You have one button for your accelerator, which is usually your X button, and then your square button is brake, and you turn with the left or the right D-pad. You have to remember this is also pre-DualShock, so you couldn't utilize the control stick.
That first split time is actually faster than the current fastest qualifying lap.
Come around Portier into the harbor and zip through the tunnel. If there's one thing I don't like about Codemasters F1 2020, and I will say is we're a half second up. Ooh, we had a bit of spin there. If there is one thing I don't like about the F1 2020 game from Codemasters, it's their in-game menu system Ooh, as I clip the barrier.
A bit of a knock there, I think, Martin.
You're right there, Murray.
Leaves a lot to be desired. Excuse me. Trying to drive and not sneeze at the same time, that does not help things. Whoa.
He really is
Locked it
having to
up.
brake very heavily there. Hackingen, he must have hit the barrier.
But I know a lot of people who think that Formula One
Third gear,
isn't
down into second.
all that interesting. And to be fair, part of the problem with the sport now is that it's been dominated by one
Let's see
team.
how he compares
For the
with
last
previous
7
qualifying
years,
time.
Mercedes-Benz has
Looks like a
owned
star lap.
Formula
He's
One.
down at split one.
They've had the best car by a
Bit
mile,
of a knock there, I think, Martin.
You're right there,
and
Murray.
it's helped Lewis Hamilton, who I should now properly address as Sir Lewis Hamilton, now that he was
Fourth gear,
formally knighted last year,
up into fifth,
uh,
up into sixth.
win 7 world championships in his career.
He's behind at split two.
Now, he's the second man to do it. The big name on this game is Michael Schumacher. And the German was the first man to win 7,
It's Hackingen.
as I clip the barrier
I think
again.
there was contact with the barrier.
So you think you can thread these needles through here, and it's not as easy as it looks. Especially when you're trying to go at speed to get the best lap times.
He really is having to brake very heavily there.
But even when Schumacher was making his charge and setting his records, he was driving for Ferrari, and Ferrari was dominating the sport.
He's down.
There
at
hasn't
the
been a
third
whole lot of
stick.
parity in Formula One in a really, really long time. Even though the cars are built to be somewhat similar in terms of aerodynamic design, in terms of engine design, and over the
Let's see
years,
how he compares with the previous qualifying times. He's up on the leader at intermediate 2.
they've done things to make the cars more environmentally sound. They've reduced the size of the engines. When I first started watching Formula One back in the late 80s, they were racing with engines that cranked out 1,200 horsepower.
Second. Third gear. Fourth gear.
And nowadays, Formula One engines crank out, I think they top
Fourth
off
gear.
a 750 to 800.
Third. Down into second.
But because they've got so much electronic equipment to them, they've got their hybrids for one, so they've got battery systems and things like that.
Time is actually faster than
They're
the
actually
current
more
fastest
powerful
qualifying lap.
than those 1980s engines. Which is why Formula One likes to hold itself as the technological pinnacle of motorsport.
He's up on the leader at intermediate 2.
But then at the same time, you have people who say, oh, well, now it's gotten too technological. And all the drivers have to do is essentially hold on as soon as they start the engines up and a race starts. Ooh, this could be a good split right here because we hit 115 is our best time. Nope, not quite. See if we can get a little bit quicker. If we can do sub 115, we'll be in good shape.
That's the fastest time over the first sector we've seen today.
Ooh, I threaded that about as close as I dare.
He's up at the second split. If he keeps this up, he could be on pole.
Wow, 1.5 seconds Up.
Well, nothing seems to have gone right.
Oh!
He's out of the race.
Except our car caught fire. We were on a pole lap and our car caught fire because a fuel line erupted. Ugh. We were flying on that lap. So where's that going to put us in the race? That's going to put us 10th. So it's Jacques Villeneuve, who's the Williams driver, on pole. Schumacher is second. Jean Alesi, Heinz-Harald Frentzen, Gerhard Berger, and Ralf Schumacher, who is Michael's younger brother, is sixth. So let's see what we can do here. We're going to come from 10th to try and win the Monaco Grand Prix.
This is picturesque Monaco in Monte Carlo, the most famous Grand Prix of the motor racing season. And jewel in the crown of
The other thing that
Formula
people like about this game is that the narration for it is done by the late great Murray Walker, who was the voice of Formula One in the UK and for most of the world for decades. And sadly, he passed away at the ripe old age of 94 earlier this year.
The drivers are lined up on the grid now, preparing themselves for the start.
There we go. And we wanted 5
Red
lights.
lights are beginning to come on. And it's go, go, go. Straining
Didn't get a
down the
great
first
start.
corner. Amazing.
Oh, but we threaded the needle
Until this.
perfectly there, and we went from 10th to 5th in one corner. And that's exactly what you want to be doing in a race.
That's exactly the start he would have wanted.
Thank you, Murray. Echoed my sentiments exactly. Now we've got to figure out where and how we can attack coming down through the rest of the course. Because we're catching everybody else ahead of us, but it's not just a simple matter of passing it anywhere on the track. You've got to know your spot, just like that.
He takes 4.
Ooh, we skipped over the chicane. Under modern rules, we would have gotten penalized for that. Because we skipped the curb. But now we're on the podium and we're up into 3rd. Through Rascasse. And that takes care of lap 1. So now we can just hold tight. Keep Schumacher and Villeneuve
His lap time is quicker than the car he's chasing.
right where we want them. And again, it's a matter of picking our spot and knowing when and how to pass. And hopefully,
He's up on the leader at split 1.
we won't have a fuel line or technical failure.
I'm looking at the race order now. In first, Williams, number 1. Hang
Did
on.
not need that
This is
glitch right
Michael
there because that
Schumacher.
brought me right in the back of Michael
Michael
Schumacher.
In third, Mika Häkkinen. In fourth place,
So get him down the hill.
Frentzen. In fifth place, Ralf Schumacher. In sixth position,
Nope.
Jean Alesi.
Come back by the pool.
I think the two cars may just have touched.
Yeah, we did.
Häkkinen. A bit of a knock there, I think, Martin.
You're right there,
So
Murray.
it's trying to find a way to dive bomb him through Rascasse. That's one of the few places on the track
That was a brilliant lap. He's quicker than the leader. He's hit Michael Schumacher.
that you can really try and get a good angle to pass on, or it's going through Sandoval, which is turn 1.
The gap is increasing.
Now we got 7 laps to go, but now we're coming back through. We are really strong
Oh no!
coming down the hill and into the tunnel. But Schumacher keeps shutting the door. Let's see if we can get him down here through the Nouveau chicane.
Certainly a collision. He's actually up on the leader's time at split 2.
We did, but we bumped in the back of Villeneuve, so we got to be careful. Oh, we did pretty well there. But Michael's not far behind us.
The car in front will be getting worried after that lap time. He's hit the Canadian.
That was more of a love tap than anything. That wasn't too bad. And now we're getting to our spot in the track where we do better.
The gap is increasing. Hakkinen.
Whoop.
That was definitely a knock on the barrier.
Yeah, I turned too sharply there. These cars are designed to drive on such a fine line.
Let's see how his times compare. He's actually up on the leader's time at split 2. This is terrific. He's taken the lead.
And we had the angle, but we were able to get by him. So now we're in the lead. And Villeneuve had to drop all the way back to 4th. And Michael's further back than I expected him to be.
We're at about half the race distance now.
Tyre wear is getting bad. Come into the pits.
But now we're going to have to come in and get tires.
Race order. In first place, Mika Hakkinen. Second, Michael Schumacher. That's a McLaren. In third, Heitz Harold Frentzen. In fourth, Williams number 1. In fifth, Jean Alesi. In sixth place, Gerhard Berger.
Wow, there is nobody around us. We may be in good shape here for this pit stop. We're just going to have to time it right.
It's Hakkinen. Martin, that looked as if he just rubbed the wall there.
Your tyres are getting worn.
That's
Get
why
ready
we're
to
coming
pit
in, then.
And he crosses the white line into the pit. Down to 75 miles
We got
per
our
hour.
They
slicks.
can't afford to make a single mistake in the pits. It's absolutely vital. Everyone does their job perfectly. Not a bad stop. Hakkinen. Martin, that looked as if he just rubbed the wall there.
You're right there, Murray.
So now we came out in 4th
This
with
young man really
4
is
laps
a
to go, not
superlative
including this one.
driver.
And in theory, everybody else should have to pit. So now we got to catch him. And we're on the podium again because now, or no, we're still in 4th.
He's definitely gaining.
So there's Villeneuve ahead of us. We come around the harbor heading towards the swimming pool. And we are reeling him in. He didn't pit.
That lap will certainly help him catch the car in front.
Now we got to race him up the hill.
They just touched, I think. There doesn't seem to be any damage. I cannot believe it. He's hit the Canadian.
But we got around him and we're back in the 3rd, so we're on the podium. Around the harbor. Through the tunnel down in the chicane.
He's definitely gaining. Let's see how they stand now. The race leader, Michael Schumacher. In second place, Heinz Harald Frentzen. In third, Mika Häkkinen. Fourth, Williams number 1. Hang on. In
Ooh.
fifth, Jean Alesi.
That one good.
In sixth position, Gerhard Berger.
I did not need to clip the wall there because now we got 3 laps this time by.
Now, he's closing the gap in front.
Can we catch him? There he is. You've done a really good job to reel him back in.
And the gap is closing.
So it's Frentzen and the other Williams. And once upon a time, they haven't been for a really, really long time, but Williams is one of the best teams in the sport of Formula One, along with McLaren. So it'll be 2 laps to go this time by.
There are only 2 laps left in which to decide the race. He's just hit Frentzen.
He ran to the back of him, but we got a shot.
What was that? Are you all right?
Well, I hope both the drivers are uninjured after that one. He's gained second place.
Won the prettiest pass in the world, but we got him. So where the heck is Schumacher? If he's gotten that far ahead of us, we might not be able to catch him.
And the gap is closing. It's Häkkinen. He must have hit the barrier.
Yeah, the difference is almost 5 seconds. I'm going to have to fly to get him. Can we do it? What's the differential going on in the last lap?
His last lap now.
6.2. I don't think we're going to get him. I don't think we're going to catch Michael. Well, if we end up on the podium, that's not a bad thing. As much as I wanted to win,
Race order. Michael Schumacher, Mika Häkkinen, Heinz
a
Harald
solid
Frentzen,
second won't be
Williams
terrible.
number 1.
Tyre wear is getting bad. Come into the pits.
Nope, not doing it. Last lap, boys.
He's closing the gap. Häkkinen, he must have hit the barrier.
Well, we're going to come home with a solid second, so we'll be on the podium, but we didn't have enough to win it. So Michael Schumacher wins the Monaco Grand Prix. We take second. Which, for a lot of people, was how it went throughout the 90s. Was Michael Schumacher always found a way to win, and then everybody was trying to catch up. So, well, I was hoping for a win today, but for a Sports Saturday, finishing second and on the podium is not terrible. We ended up being almost 5 seconds back of him, but 12 or 8 seconds ahead of Heinz-Harald Frentzen, who takes third, and then Villeneuve takes fourth, Alesi fifth, and Berger sixth. We did get the fastest lap of the race, which by modern standards would have given us a point in the standings, because that's part of the rules now, where whoever sets the fastest lap gets one championship point. But for a lot of people, that's how it was in the 90s. It was Hakkinen versus Schumacher, and Michael Schumacher always said that Mika Hakkinen was one of the few drivers that he was actually threatened and intimidated by. They had some good scraps, but more often than not, Schumacher came out on top. So I gave it a whirl, but that, guys, is Formula 1 97 or Formula 1 Championship Edition for the PlayStation 1 at the Monaco Grand Prix. If you've enjoyed that, best way you can show it, as always, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new, ring the bell to be notified of the latest content. Remember, we have Suckerpunch Sunday coming up tomorrow, and we'll be carrying on with our playthrough of the original Metal Gear, Hideo Kojima's Metal Gear, from the PS2 special edition of Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, again on Monday. We do 2 episodes a day, 2 days a week. I'm doing Mondays and Wednesdays right now. Also, you can follow us on Twitter at Retrocade. Help us hit our goal of 100 subscribers as soon as you can. That way we can unlock YouTube's customization algorithm and make this channel bigger and better. And if there's a game you would like to see us feature from the Nintendo Entertainment System, the Super Nintendo, the Sega Master System, Sega Genesis, or Mega Drive, SNK, Neo-Geo, Nintendo 64, PlayStation 1, or PlayStation 2, leave it in the comments below or drop me a tweet. Can be any game you want. And as always, my name is Ronin. It's been great to spend this Saturday with you. Be safe, be well, and I'll talk to you again tomorrow. Bye.